The first generation without memories of those moments we forgot to live. We seek reparations for the awareness we forgot to give. We dwell in the past and live for tomorrow. Distractions from presence perpetuate sorrow. Through perception-based connections chased by means of validation. Yet we run from the source of the purest fulfillment. The core of creation is not to be found in your follow counts. Your impact transcends those baseless opinions. So aim to amend your inner position. Live for the moment and stop the division. The first generation to complete the mission.
So I want to go on a little bit of a rant. There's this beautiful, beautiful nature preserve in the area where I live. Probably the closest thing to California that you can get in the DFW area. And at this nature preserve, there's this observation tower where you can watch the sunset. Okay, it's a beautiful, beautiful view. Okay, and I go there very frequently, multiple times a week, to watch the sunset. And while I'm there, I see a lot of different people do something that really, really irritates me. Okay, people will walk to the observation tower, which, mind you, is at least a mile or so away from the parking lot, depending on which route you take. People will walk a mile to the observation tower at sunset, take a picture of the sunset, and then leave. Okay, they don't take a picture and then sit there and watch the sunset. No, they take a picture with their phones and then they leave. Imagine walking a mile to take a picture of a sunset that you're not even going to sit there and watch. When you see that in your camera roll a year later, you're not even going to remember taking that picture. You're not going to remember the sunset that you took a picture of because you weren't present. Okay, and this is something that I myself was definitely guilty of for a long time. But at the very least, even when I took pictures or videos of the sunset, aside from the fact that I was typically doing it for content purposes, I would still sit there and actually watch the sunset and enjoy the present moment so that when I looked back at the picture, I could be reminded of a memory that I made. You see, something that I said in the poem at the beginning of this video, the first generation without memories of those moments we forgot to live. We seek reparations for the awareness we forgot to give. Okay, this generation right here, my generation, the generation that grew up with social media, and even more so the future generations who only know social media, who don't know a world without social media, they're not going to have any memories to tell their children. They're not going to have stories because stories are based on memories, and memories are based on present moment awareness, and social media, more than anything else, is robbing people of that present moment awareness. This is a question that I've asked in a few videos in the past, but I want to ask it again for anybody who hasn't seen those videos. How many memories have you made on social media? Okay, if you're on social media right now, if you're actively on social media, what are 5 things that you saw on social media today before watching this video? I want you to really think about that. Think about how much time you spent scrolling through your feed today on Twitter, Instagram, whatever other social media that the kids are using these days. And I want you to ask yourself, out of those hours that you probably spent scrolling through your feed, probably right after you woke up, how much do you remember seeing? I'll wait. Okay, I want you to comment down below. I want you to really think about this and comment this down below so that you can see it for yourselves. Okay, I want you guys to see how much time you are actively wasting by being on social media. Your life is passing you by and you're so concerned with other people's lives that you're not even living your own life. You're watching people live the life that you should be living, but social media is robbing you of the opportunity to live that life. Now, I'm not saying that social media is inherently bad. Okay, one could argue that YouTube is social media, and I've been able to make a living doing this, and I'm very grateful for that. But I've also had to learn through experience, through trial and error, not to let YouTube or any other social media dominate my life, become the central focus of my life. There's a very fine line between living for content and documenting your life. And I feel like a lot of content creators cross that line. But instead of it just being content creators, now it's your average everyday person who is living for content. A lot of the people that I see taking pictures of the sunset and then walking away, they're older people. They're people who spent probably the majority of their lives without social media even existing, conceptually. So how much more the generations who were born into a world with social media? I'm 22 years old. There was a point in my life where I was not on social media. I didn't get on social media until I was around 10 or 11. So about half of my life I've spent either actively or passively engaging in social media. The people who are 16 or 15 right now, which is probably some of you watching this right now, all you guys know is a world with social media. Okay, and a lot of times we romanticize the past. We romanticize the generations before our generation. We talk about the 90s and the 80s, the 70s, 60s, 50s, and how beautiful those times were. I don't think people in the future are going to talk about the 2000s and the 2010s, the 2020s, and how beautiful they were. Because people won't remember. We won't have anything to romanticize. All we'll have are pictures and videos and no memories associated with them. We'll live a very detached, colorless life. Not because of social media, but because of how we use social media. Now, I'm calling for you guys to delete social media, not because social media is inherently evil, but because we need to rewire our minds, especially those of us who grew up with social media, who made a lot of interconnections while engaging in social media every single day. You have to understand that there is a world beyond the internet, and that world is beautiful. Okay, despite what you might see on your Twitter feed every day, all of the bad news that you see, the world still has a lot of beauty in it. The sunset, nature, the ocean, all of these amazing, beautiful things that you can experience for yourself instead of watching other people experience them for you. And yet you choose to sit there and watch passively as other people live their best lives. Or really nowadays, a lot of people are just pretending to live their best lives so that they can make a living. But there's a difference between surviving and genuinely enjoying your life. Okay, and like I said, as a content creator, I've gotten the chance to experience both sides of that line firsthand. And I can assure you that no amount of money can make up for a fulfilling life experience. But the only way that you can have a fulfilling life experience is to be present. That's why in the poem, I also said, we dwell in the past and live for tomorrow. Distractions from presence perpetuate sorrow. Okay, if you don't learn to let go of the past and the future and live in the present moment away from social media, not being so concerned with how people are going to perceive you and this moment that is probably a very illusory representation of your overall life, that's where you'll find peace, is by letting go of what other people think. Okay, another thing that I said in the poem was, through perception-based connections chased by means of validation, yet we run from the source of the purest fulfillment. The core of creation is not to be found in your follow counts. Okay, a lot of you guys, you are living for that follow count. You are manufacturing drama, manufacturing controversy, robbing yourself and others of their peace of mind for the sake of follow counts, for the sake of validation. Why are you doing that? Really think about it. Think about the level of self-rejection that must live deep within you, within your subconscious mind, within your soul, that inspires you to go out of your way to seek that much validation from other people. And I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. No amount of validation is enough. Okay, you guys see that plaque in the background, that 100K plaque, I'm very grateful for that, but that's just a number. That is just a number at the end of the day. Your impact cannot be quantified through a single number. And that is why in the poem I said your impact transcends those baseless opinions. So aim to amend your inner position. Live for the moment and stop the division. The first generation to complete the mission. Okay, like I said earlier, social media is not inherently evil. Social media provides us with an opportunity to connect with each other at a level that has never been seen before by humanity. Imagine me living in Texas, being able to have friends from Australia, from Holland, from all over the world. Being able to connect with people, with an audience of people who resonate with me, even though we might not ever meet in person. Think about how beautiful that is. But at the same time, if you're not living your life, if you're not in the moment, if you're not in the present moment, if you're living for validation, living for other people, you can't connect with anybody because you're not even connected with yourself. You have to connect with yourself and develop a relationship with yourself before you can connect with other people. Okay, you have to love yourself before you can develop relationships with other people. Because how can you develop a relationship with somebody if you don't even know who you are, right? That relationship can only reflect the level of understanding and appreciation that you have of yourself. Therefore, you have to focus on yourself. And that is why I am calling for all of you to delete social media. I'm not saying you have to do it permanently. Okay, just do it for, 30 days. Give it 30 days without social media. I promise you, you will survive. Now, I already know the excuses that you're making in your head as to why you can't delete it. Jordan, social media is where I talk to all of my friends. Social media is how I stay updated on news. Newsflash. There was a large portion of time, the majority of human history, where social media didn't exist. And guess what? We survived. Okay, we survived. You will be just fine without social media. If you think that those are your friends, delete social media, give them your phone number or your WhatsApp or anything like that. Give them another way to stay in contact with you. Emails, whatever. Give them another way to stay in contact with you and see who reaches out to you. That will let you know who belongs in your life as a friend and who is just an acquaintance to you. Okay, you have to be willing to step away from the false reality that you've created for yourself and start living your life thoroughly before it's too late.